Welcome back. Today we are diving into fascinating take on leadership, one that replaces the traditional captain of the ship model with something more adaptive, modern and inspiring, the lighthouse leadership. Picture this: instead of standing at the helm and directly steering every decisions, the lighthouse leader stands tall, shining a guiding light, helping the team to way forward. To explore this, I'm thrilled to welcome special guest today, Ronnie Bellin. He has shared his perception on the lighthouse leadership that breaks down the lighthouse leadership concept beautifully. Ronnie, thank you for joining us today. Let's get started with the basics.
The pleasure is all mine. I think it was
Thank
great when you reached out to me, and I'm happy to take this conversation with you.
What do you think makes the lighthouse metaphor so powerful for leaders today?
So I have been working as a leader and a manager. More than 20 years actually. In the beginning, I was not having a direct leadership, like being managing people directly, but indirectly, I've been basically leading people all the way. And I have had the opportunity of working with really good bosses. So my boss, I have had a lot of good bosses, and I picked up some of the good things along the way there. And then I realized that actually the lighthouse is a really good metaphor for all of the good things that I picked up with these great persons that I have had the opportunity to work with. So that's why I put together. Yeah, I think it's 9 principles or nine points that are a metaphor for a leadership that I personally strive for and try to get better in. So I'm not saying that lighthouse leadership is the best leadership style for every situation, and I'm not saying that I am excel in every aspect of this, but it's a really great aspiration, I would say. So that's why I'm really glad to be here to talk about it, and I'll see what I can do to try to share my perspective on the different aspects of lighthouse leadership.
Who do you think can benefit most adopting or being guided by the lighthouse leadership? Is it for established leaders of a firm, or interns, or students, or executives already playing significant roles in the firm? Who should really look forward to this approach?
I think it's a great question. I think that anyone who's interested in leadership. Personally, I have a passion for leadership and for developing good leadership. And anyone who shares that passion, or at least shares the interest, can have a look at this metaphor or this framework, if you will, and see what you can pick up from it. And even if you're not, a leader or a manager, then I think it could also be very interesting to look behind these different aspects and try to understand it a little better.
Lighthouse leadership is for anyone who like to make an impact, empower themselves as a leader. It's a leadership guide, a framework to bring the best from others. It's for you if you are just starting your leadership journey or willing to enhance your leadership skills.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to become a leader, then I think this is a good place to start. And then you might end up in situations where some other leadership style is more suitable. And then hopefully this interview or this video can also help you to detect those occasions when maybe a totally different style is actually required. So yeah.
That's an excellent point you have. So before we dive deeper into the lighthouse leadership, let me frame it this way. The lighthouse is a metaphor for leadership where instead of one person driving the ship, everyone is empowered to navigate to a shared destination, the light. Now, as I was going through your article, one idea really stood out. You mentioned that the traditional captain of the ship approach feels outdated in today's world. Why do you think the captain style is no longer fits the new game of leadership?
Yeah, I think in some contexts, you might say that the captain leadership or the commander leadership is outdated. But I think it's more about which situation you are in. in some situations, let's look at the situations where it could actually be great to have a more authoritative leader perhaps, or a more direct leadership. So if we go out at sea to start with, that's, I mean, a context where it's still very, I mean, adequate to act maybe in a more, I mean, direct fashion, and more like the traditional role of a captain. Even though at sea, many captains have also started to adopt more modern styles of leadership, and I mean, involving their staff and their crew. I have been working at sea myself, so I know that in that situation where you need to make really fast decisions, it's, I mean, it's important to have that kind of clarity, and you can't, I mean, you can't have a matrix organization on a ship. It wouldn't work, because you need to make decisions in seconds. So maybe you need to make a decision about what will happen in 5 seconds from now, compared to when you're in a company and maybe work with strategy. You did make decisions about what's going to happen in 5 years. So it's a huge difference, and the different leadership styles are good for the different situations. I think also when you have a lot of processes and very clear guidelines for how to run your business, like you have on a ship. I mean, there's lots of routines and so on. Then you can use the more direct leadership style, and it's not necessary to have the same kind of, you know, involvement and discussion about things. Also, at sea, you have the safety aspect, and for safety reasons, that's why you have the routines, right? It's also something that calls for maybe a different kind of leadership, and you find these types of contexts or situations also in companies today. So some companies, there's a high degree of, I mean, you need fast decisions. Maybe you're in a turnaround. Okay, you may need to make fast decisions. Maybe you need to be a little more authoritative. Or maybe it's about safety. I mean, a lot of companies work with safety, and you need to follow the routines and so on. So then maybe lighthouse leadership is not the best fit for that purpose.
Would it be fair to say, in the modern world or the age of AI, we need the lighthouse leadership more than ever? As the AI reshapes the world and how we work, the need for leaders who can provide clarity, guidance, and empowerment is getting crucial. Lighthouse leadership seems perfectly suiting this era, where rapid innovations, decentralized decision making, and navigating the uncertainty requires leaders to act so steadily, helping teams stay aligned and focused where there is a constant change everywhere. What are your thoughts, and how do you think this leadership aligns with the demand of AI driven world?
Yeah, exactly. I think if you look at many of the companies that a lot of us work in today, it's you have very knowledge intensive organizations, and you make very complex decisions. It's not about turning left or right. Most decisions have a lot of different aspects to take in, and therefore it's difficult for one leader to have all of those details in their mind. And therefore you need to have those discussions. You need to have an openness for different perspectives. You need to leverage all the knowledge and the different perspectives that you have in your organization, and that's where lighthouse leadership comes in. You turn it around, right? So instead of putting the captain in center, then the leader can be the lighthouse that supports the organization and provides the circumstances for creating good decisions and acting in a good and efficient way.
Would it be accurate to say that the lighthouse leadership is something similar to the decentralized decision making approach? It seems like the lighthouse leadership analogy emphasizes guiding teams while they are clear about their vision and empowering them to make their own decisions along the way.
I think decentralized decision making is part of lighthouse leadership. So I think it's more that when you need to have decentralized decision making, then you can benefit from lighthouse leadership, because leading people where in a decentralized organization is different from leading people in a centralized organization. That's the way I see it, at least. So I think lighthouse leadership is a tool or a set of tools that you can use in an organization where you need to be decentralized, basically.
What do you think the biggest challenges people face when adopting the Lighthouse leadership? How can leaders strike the right balance between giving their teams freedom to make decisions and ensuring alignments with the overall decisions and goals?
I think with freedom, you will get alignment. I mean, if you are more free, then you will also feel it. Well, it will be easier for you to be aligned with overall decisions and targets and goals and so on. So maybe the question is more about freedom and control, and there I think this is $1 million question, I think, because you need to find that from each case to the other. And in some cases, you will need to have control, and also with some people, you need to have more control. Personally, I like coaching. I like supporting leadership. I like delegating leadership. I think when I need to direct someone, then yeah, I will do that. But it's not my preferred choice of leadership. But sometimes it's necessary. So I had one person in my team that I tried to coach, and I tried to, lead him by supportive leadership and even delegating. Nothing of it worked. The only time it worked was when I just, put down my foot and said, "Hey, guy, you need to do this. And you need to get in line." I think I even may have said some well, maybe I was a little harsh to that guy one day, and that's the occasion when he started to respond. So that's when he really, I got his respect. So you need to find that, and it can be different in different organizations. It can be different from person to person.
Building trust is such a critical aspect. Do you think coaching can really transform someone into a better leader? From the example you just shared, it seems it is possible. But do you also think that there is a natural born leader? Do you think someone who does not think like a leader before can also become a great leader with a right coaching and guidance?
This is a really good question. When you talk about natural born leaders, I think lighthouse leadership is not for them. It's for the rest of us who are striving for becoming a good leader and who need to work on it. Natural born leaders, they might be following lighthouse leadership principles, or they might be very authoritative. They have succeeded, so you shouldn't try to change them, right? They are good for their companies, they are good for their organizations. So I think lighthouse leadership is for the rest of us who are probably good future leaders. Hopefully we are good future leaders. We just need to work on, some of the aspects we have a good handle on, but we need to work on all of them, basically, to improve and to become good leaders, and also to become the kind of leader that you want to be. You need to find your leadership skill, basically.
How can a leader can ensure their communication is clear and simple, especially when conveying complex ideas to their team?
Yeah, I think communication is definitely an important skill for a leader. Probably one of the most important skills. And to keep it simple, I think it's the key word. To not, if you have a message, keep it short and sweet, and don't talk too much. Let others talk, and then focus on the key messages. So with a lighthouse, you have the analogy there. You have basically three colors of light. You have white. You're on the right course. So that's the kind of encouragement you give, the positive reinforcement. Hey, well done, or yeah, really good job there. And then you have the other, the red. Okay, so hey, maybe you need to turn slightly right, or the green. You probably need to turn a little left now. So that's the analogy there goes to when you talk to someone, try to keep it simple and be clear to the point.
Thank you for emphasizing that. But there are also times during high stress situations with many moving targets where leaders may end up over communicating. Have you faced such scenarios? And how can leaders handle this more efficiently?
So over communication, I think is it depends on how you see it. I mean, over communication can be that you talk too much. I mean, you have one mouth and two ears, so you should basically listen twice as much as you speak. Yeah, that's an old saying. But over communication can also be very important. I have found that, I mean, when I have had, well, we've defined a vision or a mission for the company, and I've explained it. I mean, probably I've worked together with my closest team to put it together, but then also communicating to the rest of the organization. I've explained it once, and I've thought that, well, yeah, now they know, but that's not enough. This is an occasion where you need to over communicate. You need to repeat it. So sometimes I have had the vision of the company on each as the first slide on each presentation, externally and internally. And maybe I've just not talked so much about it. Maybe I've just shown it, or I have had it as the starting slide when we commence a meeting. But it's there, and people see it, and the first time they see it and they understand it, and they say, "Yeah, I will remember that." And the next time they see it again and say, "Ah, yeah, I forgot about that." Third time they see it, and then that's like, "Aha, okay, so maybe there's something to this vision. Maybe this vision is important." Ronnie keeps showing it all the time, so maybe this is something that I should really keep in mind, not only here and now, but also when I'm out with the customer or when I'm on the factory floor. So that kind of over communication, I think, is really important, and I have underestimated it several times. So yeah, that's one of the experiences that I want to share. That you most often you need to communicate much more than you do, and much more often than you do, with the same message.
Got your point. Not everyone can grasp the information communicated on the same speed. So it really depends on the individual. By over communicating, we may help people who kind of take time to digest information. At the same time, people who can digest information quickly may feel frustrated or annoyed. However, the goal is to bring a better alignment that everyone on the forum should understand what we have communicated. So whether we over communicate or under communicate, the focus should be on ensuring that what have been communicated is done effectively. Is that how you see it?
I think it's a good summary, but also I think it's when you talk about strategy, when you talk about vision and so on, that's the occasion when it's important to be very concise. Keep it short. I mean, you can't have a vision with 3 lines in it. You need to have it very short and sweet. And the thing with that is that what makes it difficult for all the others in the organization to remember it, I mean, they will digest it quickly. Most of them will digest it quickly. But why you forget it is because you have so many other things to keep track of, right? Keep in mind. So you have customer relationships, you have processes you need to follow. You're working on some document here and there and so on. And so that's why those long-term visions and those more strategic issues, you tend to just push them aside, and then when you don't think about them, you forget them, and then you need a reminder. And for us as leaders, it's important to help with that, and to help to regularly help the team to raise the vision, and to look at the horizon, as I say, with the Lighthouse leadership. Look at the horizon and help the organization to look at the horizon, to just keep in mind where we are going and what's the end goal.
Yeah, people have their own lives and distractions. So, capturing their attention and delivering strategies and vision in a way that resonates with them is crucial. Communication plays the key role in ensuring the message is conveyed effectively. Now, the key question is, how do you gain reliability and trust of the teams you are communicating with? What's your approach in building the trust and ensure that the team is believing the vision you are sharing?
Yeah, so this is a very challenging thing to do. I mean, creating trust is not something that you just, read a book and then you can do that. It's about a lot of different things, but I think that if you really mean what you're talking about and you're really serious about your direction and the strategy for the company and so on, people will tell. So you can't come in and just say that I will be in this company for 2 years and I will just make sure that the numbers look good and then I'll be in a good position for the next job. You need to really be into it for the long term, and if you are that, then people will tell. So that's, I think that's the difficult answer and the simple answer, if you will.
Exactly. Until we truly feel we belong, we don't fully commit. So that's a great point, Ronnie. Thank you for sharing that. Now, when leaders feel that sense of responsibility, especially during uncertain times, how do they bring stability to their organizations? What strategies can leaders use when things are uncertain so that they can keep the team grounded in such uncertain or unpredictable environments?
For me, it's been the main thing has been to try to stay calm myself, and to not get angry or upset or so for the things that change around us. I have been in situations where we have moved a big warehouse, the main warehouse for a company, which created, it created a lot of problems with the deliveries. So the whole sales organization was, being banged by the customers. And customers were really upset and so on. So there was a lot of frustration going on there. And then what I did was I talked to my team and I said, "Hey guys, this is not fun times. We would love our delivery. When we sell, we've done our job, and then the deliveries should just go, right? But right now, this is part of our job, and this is maybe the most important part of our job right now. So we need to do this job, and we need to do it well. Right now, our job is not about doing selling more, but to keep the customer happy." And then also assuring people about that this is temporary. Most of the time it's temporary. It can also, of course, be terminally, but most of the time it's temporary. It's maybe the economy is going down, and sometimes the team members they are thinking that this is the end of the company, but it rarely is. So then you can also share that perspective and assure people about that we will get through this, and we will get through this as a team. We will work together, and we will do everything we can to solve these difficult problems. And we are here to do this job, and we are well paid because it's a difficult job. We wouldn't have these jobs if they were simple jobs. Then someone else would have it. So that's the kind of narrative I try to use when in difficult times you face different challenges and so on.
That's true. We are dealing with the complex problems, and to solve the complex problems, we need smart people. Smart people know how to manage themselves. So, speaking of the leadership styles, what's your take on the micromanaging leaders? How can leaders empower their teams to take ownership without stepping into the trap of micromanagement?
What I think about people who micromanage, I think it's a shame because it's very bad use of resources and bad use of time. It takes time, and you also waste a lot of the knowledge and skills and so on that you have in your team and in the organization. So I think micromanagement is typically not good, yeah, I think I don't encourage it.
What is the best way for leaders to let go of control while still being supportive? Many leaders feel insecure when they lose control, while some leaders are comfortable to give up their control and give their support when there is a need for the team. We can see those teams ultimately getting into more success. How can leaders find that balance of letting go of control and yet remaining the strong source of support?
Yeah, I think key to that is try it. Try it. If you haven't, I mean, if you're afraid of losing control, try to give away a little control and not maybe all of the control at the same time, because then it will be too scary for you. But if you let someone do a job more on their own. I have one example. I had two team members. The first was a pretty junior person who was responsible for a new contract with an entirely new, well, actually the biggest customer in the market. And I tried to. Oh, I was looking at. I can of course. This is crucial. It would be perfectly fine for him maybe, and for others as well, and maybe expected by me to step in and just take over this negotiation. But I didn't do that. I let him drive this, and I coached him and supported him in this work. And for me, that was at a stage when I was experimenting with this. So it was kind of a journey for myself as well. It turned out really well. We spent hours and hours in my working room, in my office, and talking about the different options and talking about the responses from the customer and what's the next move from our side and so on. But I let him actually, stay at the helm of the ship there and drive this negotiation. So the way I supported him was to, by those conversations, of course, but also I told him that let me know when you want me to step in, if that's the case, or if you let me know when you think it's time for me to join this negotiation. And he responded very well to that, and we landed the contract. So this was a big success, and it was a contract that the company had tried to land for many years. Then I had this other guy, and I was trying to do the same kind of thing with him. He was not prepared for it. So when I coached him and was asking coaching questions, like, open-ended questions, then he was not getting it. He was looking at me like, what is he after? It was like he thought it was like a game or a riddle or something, that there was one answer that I was looking for. That was obviously not the case. I was looking for his answer. And I was looking for, hopefully I was looking for a different answer than I could come up with. And in the best scenario, that answer could have been better than my answer. But he was not ready for it. So I had to adopt a more directive leadership with him for some time. So it can be very different from person to person. You need to adapt there.
Can you help us to understand how leaders can gain a broader perspective or deeper knowledge and then transform that into a bigger picture? How do they effectively communicate this to the team so that everyone is aligned on the same page?
Being a leader and a manager, I think, comes naturally with that you have a lot of information that your team doesn't have. So this is where dual leadership comes in. This is a term that many people listening, I think, have heard, but very briefly, dual leadership is that you represent the company to the employees or to the team. So that's sometimes you forget that you know so much more than the team does. and it's your job to actually share that. And in that part of the dual leadership, it's about representing the company. So, and then the other part of the dual leadership is to represent the employees to the higher leadership or the more senior management of the company. And that's where I think that when you create your vision, or when I create my vision, it's not a vision that I just sit in my office and come up with at the desk there. It's something that I want to collaborate with my team on, and so that we can, well, I can leverage all the perspectives and the knowledge of the team. But not only that, to also get a buy-in from the team, to have the involvement and the engagement from the team, so that all the team members can feel that this is also their vision, and they can feel an ownership for the big pictures of the company or the team or the department or whatever organizational unit it is.
Yeah, that really ties with the decentralized decision making. When a team understands the bigger picture, how can they empowered to make decisions in your absence? How does this broader understanding help them gain the confidence to take responsibilities and make the right choice?
When the decisions come to your team members, then they will be very simple decisions to make. The answers to those questions will be self-evident. So that's when you have really succeeded with conveying the bigger picture, where we are going, and what's the end goal.
Exactly, that approach helps to nurture potential leaders and enables them to step up. But as with any leadership style, there are risks involved. We have talked about all the positive stories about the Lighthouse leadership. What would you say are the risks involved in the Lighthouse leadership, or the challenges which leaders should be aware of when adopting the Lighthouse leadership?
There are a couple of things, of course. I mean, if you're too much in the background, then you can be, you can be perceived as, not doing enough for her, being lazy or being invisible and so on. So that it's a balance, of course. You need to also show decisiveness and so on, and confidence and so on. So it's not about always staying in the background. It's more about the collaboration with your team members, and to find the occasions when you need to really, well, when you can delegate, for example, a decision fully, or when you just need to step in and say, hey guys, we need to do it this way, and this is the reason why. So I think even if you make decisions, sometimes you need to make decisions entirely on your own. There's too much contradiction in the team, for example, and then maybe you need to step in. But I try to always be clear about what's the reason for me to make that particular decision. It's not about taking the specific side. It's actually with some rationale behind it.
What would you say as a top lessons the leader should take away from the Lighthouse leadership?
And when I describe the lighthouse leadership, I typically start with that the lighthouse shows the way. So we've talked a lot about having a vision and so on, and making it clear. Call it what you want, but make it clear where you're going. Maybe you're not, in a situation where you can really talk about a vision, like a company vision or something like that. But you should, still work out an end goal with your team, of course. So I think that is the most, that is the kind of the key, and also that is the key of the lighthouse, to show the way. The lighthouse is put in a place where you can actually get to and from without going ashore and make ground. So that is, I think that's the most important lesson.
How do you think the future leaders should evolve or adapt this Lighthouse leadership to meet the challenges of tomorrow's workspace?
I think this is one of the most exciting questions, actually. Because I have put together a couple of things based on my experience from this. And but I think there are more aspects out there. So I think it would be great if we could see some questions on this topic or some comments on this topic. I mean, I would like to encourage the people who have listened to this conversation to share their own perspectives on good examples of, well, using the lighthouse as a metaphor. But also, I mean, when it has not been so successful, that's also good to know, of course. And maybe there's some other metaphor that is, well, other than both the lighthouse and the captain. So I would be really excited about reading some comments about other perspectives on the topic of a modern leadership for the kind of companies that a lot of people work for today.
Perfect. That was a fantastic summary. And I am just as curious as you to hear the audience thoughts and comments. Thank you so much for joining the conversation today, Ronnie. It was truly a pleasure. I'm looking forward to more sessions where we can dive deeper into leadership and continue sharing your valuable experience with the world, with our audience. Thanks again, and I hope to have you back soon.